All right, hello and welcome back to another Mr. Pisto Plays Magic the Gathering Arena Brawl Deck Tech gameplay session. We have Egon, God of Death, along with the Throne of Death. The deck is more revolved around reanimating big creatures and, in some ways, a sub-theme of devotion. So, the deck plays with Thorne of the Death more than Egon, God of the Death, with the thorne being able to, or the throne being able to put a card into your graveyard at the beginning of each upkeep, beginning of your upkeep. You get to fill your graveyard. We have a bunch of reanimation spells. You can also use it to exile a creature card from your graveyard to draw cards. So we have some little creatures to do that, and we try and keep our bigger creatures in the deck. Egon, God of Death, might come out if our throne gets blown up and we need a big beefy creature. Exiling 2 cards from your own graveyard. The deck isn't built around milling itself other than the throne, maybe one other card. So yeah, we are Throne of Deathing in this video. Let's get into the cards. So we have Bloodchief's Thirst. I think it's a staple removal spell at this point in the format, being able to destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 2 or less, or kicking it to destroy something of any converted mana cost, which is quite good. Omen of the Dead is a nice instant speed flash return target creature from your graveyard. It gives you 1 devotion, and you can also sacrifice it to scry 2. Serrated Scorpion is one of those cards that we want to get into our graveyard. It helps protect us early game, and we can it's a great target to exile with the throne to draw us a card. Also, gaining us a little bit of life is can be quite useful. Agonizing Remorse, picking our opponent's hand or graveyard is quite nice. It's really our only form of hand disruption in the deck. So yeah, getting this early is nice. You lose 1 life, but that's a small price to pay for getting rid of their best thing. Feed the Swarm, one of Black's 2 ways to get rid of enchantments. Yes, you do lose life equal to the permanent's converted mana cost, but 2 mana to destroy a creature or an enchantment is very good in Black. Mire Triton, one of our ways of getting cards into our graveyard, also gaining us a little bit of life and being a good blocker, and fodder for the throne in order to draw us a card. Null Priest of Oblivion gets us back one of our big creatures that hits the bin. 2 mana 2/1 with Menace and Lifelink, or you can kick it for 4 extra mana to return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, which is quite nice. Timuret, chosen from death, our graveyard hate for our opponent's decks. He is a 2 mana legendary enchantment creature demigod. His power is 2. His toughness is equal to your devotion to black. You can pay a black and a colorless to exile 2 cards from your graveyard and from a graveyard, and you gain 1 life for each creature card exiled this way. And he gives 2 devotion for our Grey Merchant of Asphodel, which we'll get to when we get to them. Arcane Signet, nice way in black to ramp, gives us 1 black mana for 2 colorless. Elspeth's Nightmare, another one of the ways that we can get rid of our opponent's graveyards, destroy a small creature, and pick apart our opponent's hand, but only for non-creature, non-lands cards. Foreboding Fruit, draw 2, lose 2. If we get our opponent to 2 life, we can use the Foreboding Fruit to win the game. Otherwise, we are drawing 2 cards ourselves, and we are almost always paying Adamant, and we are getting a food token along with this card. Rika's Libation, here's another way for black to deal with enchantments. Target opponent sacrifices a creature, or target opponent sacrifices an enchantment. Mardu Outrider is a 3 mana 5/5. It is a way to get something that costs much more than it into our graveyard so we can reanimate it. And yeah, it's a pretty strong card. Murderous Rider is our Swift End, a removal spell, destroying a creature or a planeswalker and losing 2 life. And it also is a 2/3 with lifelink. And when it dies, you put it on the bottom of your library. Poison in the Cup, the new, I think you should play over Murder. You destroy target creature, and you can foretell it for 2 colorless, and then cast it for its foretell cost and scry 2. Araya, First of Lochthwain, is a 3 black mana 2/3, and when it enters the battlefield or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. You can sacrifice another black creature to draw a card. So it's a little bit of a draw engine, and it goes nice with Gray Merchant. So does Underworld Dreams. Goes nice with Gray Merchant. 3 black mana for whenever an opponent draws a card. Underworld Dreams deals 1 damage to that player. And we have the combo of Underworld Dreams along with Peer into the Abyss, so we can target our opponent, get them to draw half of their deck. They lose half of their life, and then they lose the other half of their life with Underworld Dreams, which is kind of cool. We'll talk about Into the Abyss here in a minute. Altar the Pantheon taps to add 1 black mana. It also increases our devotion, which doesn't matter in the deck, but we do have a god and a demigod, so being able to gain 1 life is quite nice when we use this. Skyclave Relic, playing this one because it is indestructible, which is good in this format. And if we get to enough mana, we can kick it to get 2 token copies of this that come into play tapped. Carrion Grub is another one of those cards that helps us get things into our graveyard. When it enters the battlefield, you mill 4 cards, and its power is equal to the highest power among creature cards in your graveyard. We have some doozies. We can get it up to 7 power, so 4 mana for a 7/5. If that happens, is quite nice. Draugr Necromancer, one of the reasons why we're playing Snow. If we remove a creature, it gets exiled, and you put an ice counter on it, and you can cast spells from among cards you exile your opponent's own with ice counters on them. You may spend mana from Snow sources as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. We have 18 snow-covered swamps. That's pretty easy to do. Liliana, Waker of the Dead, 4 mana, 4 loyalty planeswalker, +1. Each player discards a card so we can get a fatty into our graveyard. And if an opponent can't, they lose 3 life. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. If we have Egon on the throne side, then we are filling our graveyard, and it's easy to do -6, -7, -8 with this card, so it gets rid of most things. And if you ever get it to an emblem, well, that's fantastic because we're filling our graveyard and hopefully destroying some of their stuff. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It gains haste. So it's a nice win condition. I've never it's been, I think I maybe ultimated it once and then they just scoop. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Rankle, Master of Pranks, 4 mana, 3/3, flying haste. And when it deals damage to a player, you may choose one of these 3, or all of them, or 2 of them, however you choose. Each player discards a card, each player loses 1 life and draws a card, each player sacrifices a creature. Here's another way for us to get things in the graveyard. If we have one of our small creatures we don't mind sacrificing, it can help us get rid of our opponent's creatures, and it can also draw us a card. But then that is symmetrical, so sometimes that's not great, but it is a cool card in the deck. Solemn Simulacrum, another black ramp card that is good to exile with Egon's Throne. So when it comes in the battlefield, you get a swamp, basic swamp, put it on the battlefield tapped, and then when it dies, you draw a card. Then we have a bunch of reanimation spells with Cauldron's Gift, Return Upon the Tide, Rise Again, Unbreakable Bond. Drana, the Last Blood Chief, is also a reanimation spell. So Cauldron's Gift, if you have Adamant, you mill the top 4 cards, and you get to choose a creature card in your graveyard, return to the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it. Return Upon the Tide, I think this one is one of the better ones, because you can cast it for 4 mana. So if we get Egon out on 1, mill a big creature, foretell this on 2, then on 4, we can get something quite big into play, which is really cool. And also, we do have an elf with Araya, so the odd time we will get 2 1/1 elf warriors. Rise Again is just return a target card, creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Nothing special there. Unbreakable Bond returns a creature to the battlefield, but also gives it lifelink, which is nice. And then Drana, the Last Blood Chief, is a 5 mana 4/4. When it attacks, target or defending player chooses a non-legendary creature. So we don't get to pick, but our opponent does. And returns that card to the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. That creature is a vampire, in addition to its other costs. So with the throne, hopefully we can exile our serrated scorpions and our mire tritons of the world and get something bigger and better, like Gray Merchant. One of the win conditions of the deck, when it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black, and you gain X life equal to your devotion, or equal to the life lost this way. So if you're playing in multiplayer games, this thing gets out of hand, but in our format, it's just whatever they lose, we gain. Sir Conrad the Grim is another way that we can win the game. When another creature dies, or a creature is put in the graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent, and we can mill each player for a black and a colorless. So with the throne exiling creatures from our graveyard, we ping our opponent if Conrad's out. We self-mill ourselves. We ping our opponent if a creature hits the battle graveyard. Any of their creatures or our creatures dying, pings our opponent. So it's a great value engine in and of himself. Then we get to some big spells. We have Blood on the Snow. We are playing Snowlands for this card as well. 6 mana, destroy all creatures or all planeswalkers. You get to choose one. And then you can return a creature or a planeswalker card with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of snow mana cast for this spell. So we can get back pretty much any one of our spells but our Demon of Loathing. We have Burning Rune Demon. For this card, we can search our library, let our opponents pick 2 reanimation spells. Well, I guess I get both reanimation spells. That's the main line with this card. Or you get 2 big baddies because you're at 6 mana unless you've returned it from the battlefield with one of your reanimation spells. And in that case, you probably just pick 2 big baddies. But anyways, Massacre Worm, a great end game card. 6 mana, 6/5 with 3 black mana symbols. So it's nice with Grey Merchant. When it enters the battlefield, your opponent's creatures get -2/2 until the end of turn. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. Demon of Loathing is our big 7 mana, 7/7, has flying and trample. And when it deals damage to a player, that player sacrifices a creature. So hopefully we get a little bit of a discount on it. And then we have Peer into the Abyss, which, like I said before, works with Underworld Dreams. You draw, target player draws equal to the number of half the cards in their library and loses half their life, rounded up each time. So you can also cast this on yourself and draw half your deck and hopefully set yourself up for the win. One card I really wanted to play and never had a chance to play or never found a home for it is the Cauldron of Eternity. It does cost 12 mana, which seems steep, but it costs 1 to 2 generic mana less for each creature card in your graveyard. And whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. So with the throne, you're milling yourself. So the cards are not going to the bottom of your library, only the ones that come into play. And you can pay 2 life and a black and 2 colorless to return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. So it is a fun, cool, interesting card that I just had not found a home for until now. We have Castle Lochthwain to help us draw some cards. 18 snow-covered swamps. Crawling Barrens for that creature land to help block and attack if we need to. Faceless Haven, the same deal, helps block and attack. And then Field of Ruin to get rid of maybe their Faceless Haven or their Calling Barrens or one of their castles. All right, Egon, God of Death, and his Throne of Death, reanimation style. All right, let's get into a couple games. All right, Kawauso. We have 3 reanimation spells. Let's hope this throne can get us there. And we have the Wombo of turn 4. Fingers crossed we draw a few lands. That would be quite nice. That is not a land, but will be good next turn if we draw a land. If we don't draw a land, we're in trouble. Niko Aris, Planeswalker. There's our land, and we missed it. That is the one scary thing about playing the throne. We could put every second card could be a land, and then we could just be in trouble. But there's not much we can do. We're at the mercy of our deck. Make up your mind. Kawauso. I don't know. Decision can't be that difficult. You're gonna steal my throne. All right, let's see if we can battle through this. What kind of... I guess they want to shut off our engine? Land would be quite nice.
Let's have a good clean match.
There's a land. All right. Now let's battle through all the counter spells. Unfortunately, we only have Murderous Rider to get back with this, but it's better than nothing. That's cool.
Restocked and ready to go.
Or we rankle, kill. Yeah, let's do that. Kill Niko Aris.
I'll do better tomorrow.
I don't mind. Water for this, which is okay too. Skyclave, you got it. Coming in for 3. I guess we do this. Gives us a little bit of a blocker. Setting up for Grey Merchant, I guess. We can have Grey Merchant die and we can get it back a couple times. They don't have very... They have one good attack, I guess. Oy. Sure. All right, here's the lands. Well, that's a good one. We're just gonna keep setting up for Grey Merchant. No attacks. We're gonna take 8 here. Maybe more if they attack with their little guys. They have all this card draw. They can make this bigger. This is a cool little interaction. Yeah. I think we have to Grey Merchant next turn just to give us some life. Well, that's frustrating. I guess in order to take advantage of this, we need to do this. They will blow up this next turn. Resolve. Will we get to sacrifice Grey Merchant and then bring it back? Drawing a card. Yep. We are getting hit for 6 here. Maybe more if they...
They won't even know what hit them.
Lock. Sacrifice. Spider. I get a 4/4. All right, we're gonna do this into this. No point in attacking at this point. We're fighting through this quite well. Even though they have our throne. Our throne has been stolen. We need to win it back. What's your plan? This doesn't do much. You can make your thing unblockable, and then you have to return it, which is counterproductive. Brawler. Okay. Do we just win now? I think we just win now.
Gotta prepare for the next throw.
We do. Nothing, alright. Sacrifice Grey Merchant. Draw a card. Blood in the Snow. That's fun. But I think this is more fun. Ah! Uda game. Right, that's pretty cool that we fought through losing our throne. With Araya and Grey Merchant MVPs. Alright, let's get into another game. Alright, this should be hella aggro. Field Marshal. That's mulligan. Okay. Sure. We got card draw, we got removal, we have ramp, we just need another land. If we draw a land, obviously we're just playing land, go. Sure. Grey Merchant in the graveyard, that's good. All right, what you playing with? 2 lands, Kythos. Well, we can't beat this. I think that was an amazing top deck. That's a card that's very difficult for us to fight through. Incoming. Land, please. Thank you. Let's ramp it out. Gary's in the graveyard. Play this, right? Unless you drew something better. Or you equip. Rada. Well, that is much better. 3 lands off the top of your deck is nice. There's a swamp. I'm going to Foreboding Fruit. A Adamant. Alright, cool. A Massacre Worm next turn. Gain us some life here. You get a brick. Yep. Yep. Now what? Too bad this isn't -3. That's an unfortunate. Oh, they were back to back. That's unfortunate. 1, 2, 3. It would be nice to get one more snowland to play this. I think we're just gonna do. What's your choice? All right. No blockings here. Too bad we don't have a way to get things out of our graveyard. We have a removal spell. If we block, this happens. And I don't think that's the good for us. They don't have enough to activate this yet. Okay. Blood in the Snow is looking more and more nice. Oh. I do think we need the Blood in the Snow. We get Grey Merchant back. So we attack first. Or we don't attack, we wait. We can just get Massacre Worm back after. We give them one more turn. I don't think so. Let's attack. We can bring Massacre Worm back with Rise again if we need to. Good. Sure, we lose a couple triggers with the Massacre Worm. But I'm not too worried about that. Happy 1-1 or 1-2, it's gonna die anyways. I'm sure there were other more possible outcomes with this, but I think this gives us the best chance to win. Like, what do they do? Cast this, equip it up? I guess they can blow up our Grey Merchant if they want to. Yep. We'll just bring back our Massacre Worm. And at this point, they are hurting. Or we do that. Oh, we got to bring back our Massacre Worm. Our opponent is going to have two choices with this if we get to that point, which we might not. Have to remember this food token. Might as well use it now. And give them their turn. We don't need to bluff anything. I wonder what they drew. Shoot Swarm. Well, then. Hey, that's nice. I think we just play that. Although with the Shoot Swarm tokens, Drainage is better. This is more fun. Bring it on, Shoot Swarm. At some point, it's gonna be attack and Massacre Worm's just gonna. The Massacre Worm effect is going to happen. So if we attack next turn, we deal 7. They have to block this. They take 2. Then they sacrifice a creature, and that's 11. Could gain 2 life, but that's not going to help them because they'll just lose it again. I think we got this one. We were so close to the Underworld dream. We almost had the dream. But I do think it's GG's. You could draw 2 with this. Or wait, is it? No. Alright. I think it's game over. Oh, we can just make them sacrifice a creature. Incoming! Now what? Good game. All right, couple of cool wins. We fought our throne on the first one, and this time we outvalued them. Although they were playing Gallia, not the strongest of Gruul commanders. Bye bye, Demon of Loathing. Bop. All right, cool. We got there. All right, let's do a little post-game talk, and that'll be the video. All right, let's do this. Egon, God of Death and Throne of Death. There are lots of different ways you could go with this. We went with the throne side. You could go on with the Egon side, and if you look in here and go M-I-L-L, mill, there are a few ways to self-mill. And then use Egon as a 3-mana 6/6 beater, but really it's not 3 mana. It's more like 5 or 6 or 7 on the curve. So you need a graveyard full. You cast this on 3, you're not going to have a graveyard and you're just going to sacrifice it. That's where I think Egon is the harder side of the card to play, rather than the throne side, where we're pretty much playing every single reanimation card you can play. There's one or two. There's the party mechanic one, but I just found that costs too much and required too much, and we weren't really partying. We have a rogue, a cleric, but they're just random. We don't really have, there's a warrior. We don't have the numbers you need to make that card really pop. We got to see Grey Merchant of Asphodel do Grey Merchant of Asphodel things along with Araya, First of Lochthwain. I love this commander. I think it's fantastic. As it comes to big things in black, okay. Okay, why are you locked in there? That was weird. MTG Arena was really weird today. So when it comes to reanimation targets, Black Bridge Troll would be kind of cool. You could do some shenanigans with Shoal of Rashaka. One thing we didn't do, we didn't really play any mass board wipey style of things. You could do that. You could go the more controlling route. We went the more creature controlling route. Play something along the lines of a Nightmare, just a giant creature. This is a return target creature or cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, but we are here again. We're not tribal, so it's not really something that fits this kind of build that I did here. You could build a little more around Tergrid and play more sacrifice things. Technically, we could be sacrificing our creatures because, excuse me, we are playing a lot of reanimation spells. There are some other big interesting cards that we could be running. We could go up to Ugin, but we're not really that kind of deck. Reaper of Nights, something else we could think about. But yeah, definitely a Tergrid Throne of Death combination could be something that's quite powerful. Anyways, or even something like the Gourmand, being able to make it so your opponents sacrifice a creature. I just thought that these three big things were in the right range for what I wanted to do, and I just really like Demon of Loathing, so I wanted to play it. All right, that is Egon, God of Death, and the Throne of Death. We survived the throne being taken away. Someone snatched it out of our hands, but we still got there. And then we also survived against the aggro deck. So yeah, I thought the deck performed well. All right, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. From Mr. Pisto to you, bye for now.